Remember, they're changing my voice. In this video, I'll definitively connect the whore that rode the beast. It is Babylon. Babylon is Roman expressions, American, Jerusalem, in Europe, basically the whole world, according to their relevance, their power, what have you. Okay. So the whore is the types of attractive females that would have chosen the top martial arts ever, and the cities that came as a result of them breeding with the neo-colonialist oppressor and the various oppressors all throughout history, okay, which became the inhabitants of the earth. That's why it's all the nations, as I pointed out in the parts before this, okay. So Proverbs 31 is going to really overkill it. We're going to connect this to Revelation 17, the woman wearing scarlet, and she's riding the scarlet beast because the offspring of her and what led her astray was the beast, the whore that rode the beast, right? And the scarlet was supposed to stand for something of nobility and dignity, is what it used to stand for. That's how the Bible refers to it as, at least, okay? And she goes astray and betrays the martial art order, the partner of her youth, what Proverbs also says. Okay, follies an unruly woman, what have you, right? Proverbs 9 and Proverbs 8 and really Proverbs 1 through 9 especially, it makes it clear that it is unwise to cheat the martial art order of God. Okay. Sayings of King Lemuel. The sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. I'm going to read this 2 more times. You need to understand this part. It says, do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. This is part of why women are supposed to submit. I'm not supposed to chase them. They're supposed to present themselves. Say it again. It says, do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. Are they supposed to ruin kings by being unruly, whores that ride the beast, prostituting themselves to the system, to the corporate state, to the cultures that are allowed, to every culture, any movement outside the Royal African Falcon Top Martial Arts Order? No, they're supposed to submit. Does anyone have a viable counterargument? No, or they would have made it a zillion times over by now. They do not have a viable counterargument to who is the most righteous and who they should submit to. Therefore, their females are prostituting themselves to other ideas, to other gods, okay, and their false idols, instead of the one true God and His Son that you know by the truth, the way, the truth and life, justice, righteousness, what have you. And they'll do dumb stuff to try to, confuse you about that and do immature pranks and so on and so forth. And they cause me to stumble on my words and they'll say stupid stuff. Okay. Again, it says, do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty, remember their misery no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all those who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and needy. So when the Western racist system, neo-colonialist system, white supremacist system, Jewish, Zionist, neocon, liberal, progressive eugenicist, when the Western Babylonian system, said, we'll treat you like a king. Why? It goes back to Proverbs 31, verse 8. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all those who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights, right versus wrong, the rights of the poor and the needy. They don't want the top martial arts ever making these arguments. Okay? Now, Proverbs 31, listen very carefully. Epilogue, the wife of noble character. This section is called the wife of noble character. So who is worthy of the top martial arts ever? The Royal African Falcon top martial arts. Okay, remember, my kingdom's not this world. I'm mixed. My dad is Nigerian. My mom's white. She kind of looks Jewish-ish. Okay. Who is worthy? So what is a wife of noble character? And we'll compare to the prostitute and wrap this video up. A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. I put in parentheses, a city, women with certain commonalities, a spirit, and Nimrod's first wife. Remember, Nimrod was a mighty warrior before the Lord. A lot of people try to make it seem like he was a bad guy. He wasn't. Okay? Some of his offspring, that's a different story. Okay? The flesh-based offspring, not the spirit. He is the husband of her youth, the gate of God, which God's spirit came through. Remember, Before Abraham, I am. Abraham's generation and generations before, it was a proverbial saying. That's what it says in Genesis 10. We go through the different translations. It says, like Nimrod, a mighty warrior, a mighty hunter before the Lord, the first hero, the mightiest warrior, etc. Okay? That was the proverbial saying. He says, he's going to be like Nimrod, or he's like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. So who is the king, the true king, right? That's why it's right here, the wife of noble character, after it says the sayings of King Lemuel that his mother taught him. Okay? So Nimrod's first wife, a wife of noble character who can find, she is worth far more than rubies, far more than a billionaire woman, okay? Infinitely more, okay? The rich are deluded. A wife of noble character is far above them. So he is the husband of her youth, the gate of God, which God's Spirit came through. Okay, and a lot of people say in popular culture, say Babylon stands for the gates of the gods. Which one, right? Wisdom, the one true God, and the pagan deities like Baal that oppose the one true God. Verse 11. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. Okay, so the city and the woman, right? They're talking about many things here at once. The spirit of a noble woman, the noble woman herself, the city, right? Jerusalem, Babylon, Rome, they're all supposed to obey God through me. Okay, but they're not. They're prostituting themselves to other gods. So what were they supposed to do? Right? They're supposed to bring me good, not harm, all the days of my life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands, right? So she's eager. She's like, this guy's a top martial arts. He's God's son. So I'm going to work eagerly to achieve this. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. This overkills that this is what Revelations 18 is referring to. The great prostitute, Revelation 18:11, 18:17, 18:23, especially. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. So even in the darkness, she proceeds, right? Though she walks through the valley of the shadow of death, she faces adversity. She says, who cares about the corporate state persecute them? Who cares about the prospect of them persecuting your family? Okay, a woman who has heart puts God and God's son way, way, way before her family. If she doesn't, she's just a whore. It makes it crystal clear. It goes on and on and on about this in the Bible. How could they miss it? They didn't. They chose to be whores consciously. All right. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. Remember, the bread, the living water, the bread of God's presence. He said, eat this bread to remember, this flesh, right? The bread is the flesh. It also symbolizes God's presence. Okay, and the living water. She provides food from heaven, manna, so to speak. You know, as the king's wife, okay, and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. See Isaiah 5 and the parable of the tenants, right? She invests spiritually. She spiritually says, I choose the Jerusalem in the sky, Galatians 3:28 and Galatians 4. Not the Jerusalem on earth, not the Sinai on earth, but the mountain Zion and the Jerusalem in the sky. The idea of the righteous city of God in its true form. Don't look to the Jews for that. Their image is not the image of God. They did not obey God through me. They're just going to sit there and watch this play out. That is an evil spirit. Those people in secret societies were just going to watch this play out and are not going to rally to me, and they're not going to obey God through me. And if they did, it is too late to continue the royal spirit of God in this world. Okay. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. Her lamp, right? The lamp of the light of justice. Put a lamp on its stand. Light of the vindication. You say, you have vindicated those who have raised you. You're testifying that God is right, and so on and so forth, right? Her spirit. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arm to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. Is this the type of woman who's going to reject the top martial arts ever because he's not rich? No. The type of female that would do that is a fucking filthy, pathetic, childish, Barbie doll, tea time little whore that God hates and I despise. How could it be any other way? How could it be? It isn't. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. For all of them are clothed in what? They're in scarlet. Whose household? Whose household? The beast? You clothe the beast in scarlet, which is beta scrambled, the brute beast, and all the bootlicking cowards that refuse to obey God through me. Why did she betray me? Why did the planet betray me? Why did they betray God and I? Said, listen to what the harlot is telling you. It is not you, Chukwuemeka, that they have rejected as king. It is God coming through you, because they are disloyal, fool cowards without a speck of heart in their genes. How could it be any other way? Who would betray God? Who? Another Revelation 18 connection. Revelation 18:22, and the clothed in scarlet is a Revelation 17 connection. She makes coverings for her bed. She's clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. I am respected in the kingdom of heaven. I'm the gate, and I take my seat with all those respected in heaven, elders or otherwise, right? The rushing, the roar of waters, like thunder, is the spirit of those who died obeying God, and the martyrs and the saints, and so on and so forth, in reality, not in the story or in the Western narrative, but in the reality, the real version of it. She makes linen garments and sells and supplies merchants with sashes. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies merchants with sashes. So the kuro obi, the belt, the sash, is also used to carry children. So Marshall is marital scrambled for a reason. The bridegroom, the wedding banquet, the parable of the wedding banquet. The fine linen stands for the righteous acts of the saints. Or she's a whore. Either she did the right thing, or she's a whore. Either she has righteous deeds from obeying God through me, or she's a fucking whore. Little vicious little tart. Is being treated as such by the opposition view. Well, they won't admit it unless they do. She makes linen garments, fine righteous acts, supplies the merchants with sashes. It's Isaiah something where it says righteousness and faithfulness are the belt and sash. Righteousness is what she makes, is what she's selling. And she's selling it not for money, for loyalty, for obedience in the due time. She's clothed with strength and dignity, and she can laugh at days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She speaks with wisdom, right? She's clothed with strength and dignity. What fine linen is she saying? Righteous acts, the strength to do the righteous acts, the dignity that comes with righteous acts. She speaks with wisdom. So as they keep interrupting me, I'm going to point out again that they're not mature. They're immature. A bunch of Western frat guys, a lot of these crest-wearing guys. There are some boarding school wearing a crest, and I'm an English noble. And then they go and they act like some arrogant fool. And they bred people all over the world, these European racist, governing class people, their little crests and social clubs. But we are quite noble, I assure you. And they do bitch-ass shit. Are they speaking with wisdom? No. Are their women right with God? No. And if they're not right with God, what are they? What are they? If you don't know by now, watch this video from the start. Okay, she is clothed with strength and dignity and can laugh at days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness, right? She has the bread of God's presence that she's supplying, not the bread of idleness or rebellion or going against God and so on and so forth. Her children rise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her, right, by his actions. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. 30, charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all her hands have done, and let her bring her praise at the city gate. Okay? Psalm 45 makes it clear the king will desire your beauty. So, if a woman who's unattractive, and she must accept my judgment on the issue, tries to say, hey, I have character, and you should date me, instead of trying to ensure that I have an attractive mate, healthy mate, is she doing me a favor? Is she of God? No. That is Set, who is Baal's Egyptian equivalent, okay? Settler, okay? The word whites, for whatever reason, in their own language, is why Set, scrambled. Now, why is that? And people say we're all born sinners. Okay, but we still have to know to what degree are they born sinners. I'm not, I'm from above. So now that you're from below, where are you from below? You from the heart of treachery in Israel? You from the heart of treachery in Europe? The heart of treachery in America? That government, those cowards in America, we're going to turn our back on the Son of God and be very proud of our family. Where, to what degree?